Hey everybody, it's Tanae, aka Tiny Mamas, and today we're going to be talking all about the nitty gritty details of postpartum healing, specifically after you've had a really bad tear. I gave birth vaginally to my daughter 3 months ago, almost exactly, and I ended up with a third-degree tear all the way to my asshole. I wasn't surprised because, for one, I'm very, 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 very tiny down there. So, pushing any baby of any size out was probably going to tear me. And she was actually a small baby. She was only 6 pounds, 4 ounces. But also, I definitely pushed her out way too fast. I didn't take any classes or anything on how to push so that you don't tear. Yeah, I didn't do that. So, and if you watched my labor and delivery story, then you know that once the midwives told me, okay, I see your hair, you're about to meet your baby, I was just like, push. And I just pushed her out in literally like 2 minutes, probably less than that. So, yeah, I pushed her out too fast, which definitely contributed to me having a third-degree tear. Once I tore, obviously they had to stitch me up. I don't know how many stitches I got, but I know that they were stitching me up for a good hour and a half. Literally, I'm not exaggerating it. So, I probably had a lot. What it immediately felt like after getting the stitches was just like kind of like, I don't know, it didn't hurt. I guess it was like a tiny bit sore down there once the lidocaine wore off, which is what they used to numb me. They like injected it down there to numb me. But it wasn't really so much that it was hurting, but it was just uncomfortable. Walking was hard. I felt like I couldn't really walk with my back straight because it seemed like it was too much weight sitting on my stitches. Like it was causing too much pressure down there. So I would walk like leaning forward and that would like really hurt my back, but I had to do it. It didn't sting too much to pee, which is what they warned me about. It did sting a little bit, but it literally lasted only for like a couple days, and it wasn't like painful. It was just kind of like a slight sting you feel. I don't know. It was like a slight little stinging down there. It didn't hurt though. It didn't like bother me. But I did feel more like discomfort and soreness like actually closer to my ass than I did in my vagina. Like my vagina was like all good. It was just kind of my ass that was bothering me. So they provided, ice packs. They gave me these witch hazel cloths in a little tub. So I would basically every time I went to and they also gave me this spray to spray on my asshole. That was like a numbing spray. So basically what I would do is whenever I had to go to the bathroom, I would either use witch hazel, like put the witch hazel cloths like in the pad or like wipe down there with the witch hazel cloths, or I would use an ice pack. I didn't like using the ice pack all the time because the ice packs would eventually, melt or whatever. And then when the pad would fill with water and it would just be like this big old, it was like having a water balloon in your underwear or something like that. Like a hard, I don't know. That's not a good description. Basically, just imagine a pad just full with water like it's about to bust. And you're just sitting on that and it doesn't feel right anymore once the ice has melted. And it seemed like the ice would melt really fast. It was great. It felt great while it was icy. But after that, after like a good hour, you're back to feeling sore again. So I didn't use the ice pads or ice packs too much, but I would, here and there. But mostly I did the witch hazel cloths in a pad, and I did the numbing spray. Like whenever I was feeling sore, but I didn't have to like go to the bathroom or anything, I would just use the numbing spray. And while I was in the hospital, I did not spray that stuff on myself. Like the nurse who was coming in and out was like, was literally like spraying my cheeks and spraying it on me. It's like crazy the things that people have to do for you right after you have a baby. It's just like, it's like privacy is out the window. You don't even care. You just like, please help me. So yeah, that was what was happening while I was still in the hospital. Once I got discharged and I was taking care of myself at home, it was pretty much the same thing with the ice pads and stuff, but also I would use I didn't have a peri bottle, but I had like a little squirt bottle that they gave me. So I would use that every time I used after like using the bathroom or whatever. And that seemed to like really kind of soothe. Because once I got home, like I would say like a week after I got home, I did start to feel like soreness in my vagina, even though I wasn't before. So the squirt bottle would definitely soothe that. But once again, like I was walking around with my back bent forward for like a good 2 weeks. And it felt like that was gonna last forever. It was just like, I was really scared that my back was gonna be messed up forever, because I'm like, why can't I walk straight? Like, does this happen to other women? Can they not walk straight for so long after having a baby? Because I be seeing women walking around normally, like, why am I walking like this? So I thought I was like messed up forever, y'all, for real. But I wasn't. I was literally taking showers like all the way bent over, like I was trying to touch my toes, because that was the only way I could take one without putting pressure on my stitches and without my back hurting. So I would literally like bend over to grab my body wash or something and just stay like that and just wash up like that. And once I had to stand up again, I had been bent over for so long that it felt like the wind was knocked out of me once I stood up straight again. Like everything went dark. I couldn't like breathe. It was a bad time. But yeah, that's what I had to do. So yeah, definitely after like, I think I started to have these random moments where I could walk normally again after 2 weeks was up, but then I would kind of revert back, and that was because there were certain activities that made like all my progress kind of like take a few steps back. Basically, when Michael was born, she was only 6 pounds 4 ounces, and once we went for her first follow-up appointment, which was like 2 or 3 days after she was born, she had lost too much weight. She had lost 11%. And so we had to end up going back and forth to the doctor every day. We had to get weight checks every day for a whole week. And then it was like every other day for like another week after that. And her doctor's office, the place where I was supposed to give birth, was a 50-minute drive from where we lived. So I had to sit up in the car, like I was in the back seat next to her car seat, and I had to sit in like that middle section, which is a little elevated, and do that for 50 minutes straight. And that was like the worst thing for my progress as far as healing from the stitches, because it just was so uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to sit up anyway with the stitches, but to sit in a car for that long and it's moving, and then you having to like get in and out of the car, and oh my god, it was just so bad. So like after 2 weeks was up, I would like be walking kind of normally, and I'm like, look at me, look at all this progress I made. And then we get in the car to go to her appointment, and as soon as we get out of the car and I have to walk into the doctor's office, I'm all bent over and sore again, because the car ride just like fucked everything up. So that was one thing that I feel like it made my healing last longer than it would have. And then what was the other thing? Um, oh yeah, just sitting up in bed and actually laying down for long periods of time too actually made it worse. I noticed that if I lay down for longer than like an hour, it just was so uncomfortable, and I couldn't do anything to like just feel right after that. Like my body just felt so wrong down there and just so uncomfortable. I don't know how else to describe it. It was just uncomfortable, especially if I was laying on my back. That definitely makes it worse. The things that helped and the things that didn't, I would say the numbing spray was probably least effective because it only felt good for like 30 minutes maybe every time you sprayed it. And it's not actually like, helping to heal, it's just numbing the pain. Same thing with the ice packs or whatever. I would say the things that actually would make me feel better was showering. Always made my stitches feel better, and using the squirt bottle after using the bathroom, whether I was peeing or I was pooping. Like just fill it with some really warm water. It was so soothing and really so nice too. After pooping, I felt like it was like a cheap handheld bidet or something. Like I was like, I'm gonna keep using this, and I've been using it every like whenever I poop I use it. So that thing has been really good. And yeah, just getting up and walking more and not sitting and laying down so much. I know that's like hard to do, especially for people who have worse I don't want to say injuries, but worse things that they have to heal from after giving birth. But that was just what I noticed. It made it a lot better. One thing I would do differently is I would probably do the sitz bath more. They gave me everything that I needed for it, but it was just such a time consuming thing to like set up and try to make time to sit on the toilet and do it that I only ended up doing it once. It was nice the one time I did it, except for the fact that it was hard to sit up straight. So I was bent over on that too, and just kind of like going back and forth between being bent over and sitting up straight, and just like, just all over the place trying to position myself to be comfortable. Yeah. It was rough, y'all. Like I wish y'all could have seen how I was. Like it would take me 10 minutes damn near to get from the car to inside of the doctor's office, like right in the door, and go, and then standing at the counter waiting for them to take all my details every time. I was just like I couldn't like actually carry Michael to the scales and stuff and like get her undressed and everything, because it was so painful or uncomfortable for me to stand up or for me to walk around. So my mom had to come to all the appointments and do that stuff with her, and I was like so happy. The first appointment that we went to where I actually got to carry her and stuff, I'm like, finally that's over. I thought it would never end. That's what my healing experience was. I would say in total I felt like completely healed for sure after 4 weeks. It kind of started like around 2 weeks and then gradually became like a complete type situation after 4 weeks. And I also stopped bleeding after like 2.5 weeks, I think. Yeah, I didn't bleed for very long at all. So I also want to talk about the things that, doing my own research and reading about other people's experiences, that made me like terrified about certain things that happened during pregnancy and postpartum that ended up not being bad at all. Of course, this is just my personal experience. This doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen for you, but I just wanted to ease a couple people's minds if I can. So one thing that people had me really freaked out about as far as pregnancy was the glucose test. I was reading all these different like posts and message boards about how it was so bad because the drink was so sweet and disgusting that it made people nauseous, it made them vomit. Just this one woman said she was like feeling really sick and faint for the whole rest of the day after drinking it. And I'm just like, what is, I'm thinking it's like some kind of thing some concoction they made that just tastes like absolutely disgusting. And I was really scared about it, and I told my midwife I was terrified, and she was just acting like it wasn't a big deal. But once it was time for me to drink it, I chose the lime flavor, and it was like drinking a semi-flat Mountain Dew. And I'm not even gonna lie to y'all, I really enjoyed it. Like I guzzled the drink in less than a minute. It was like a bottle like this big, and I just downed that thing. Like, for real, it was good to me. I did not experience at all what other people were talking about it being disgusting. Like, it was, I guess those people don't drink pop or juice or anything. I guess I'm not a big pop drinker, but I do enjoy carbonated drinks, and I love fruit juice. So it was just like literally drinking like a 7-Up or something. But it was like not as strong to the point where you could drink it like it was water. So yeah, I guzzled that thing in probably 30 seconds, and I was all good. Passed my test with flying colors as well. Another thing that had me scared was hearing about the Ring of Fire. So for those of you who don't know, the Ring of Fire is basically the burning sensation that you feel when your baby's, I want to say head is coming out, but it's probably like the widest part of their body that's coming out. So probably the shoulders, but I mean probably the head too, because it's like you've never had, well, I don't know, most of us have probably never had anything that big in our vagina. So the Ring of Fire is that burning sensation when you feel this huge baby coming out of your vagina. And I was really scared about, I think everybody is scared when they read about that or even think about it, especially me, being the fact that everything on me is tiny. My whole body is tiny. And honestly, in the moment when it happened, I don't know if it was just because of like adrenaline. I don't remember feeling any adrenaline. So actually I don't think it was because of that. Or because I was excited or anything like that. But when I pushed her out, I did feel that sensation. I felt the Ring of Fire, but for me, it was more like kind of a numbing, stinging feeling. It didn't like burn like in the way that I expected. It just was kind of this dull sting, and it was over like as soon as her shoulders were out, you know. And like I said, I pushed her out really fast, so I didn't feel it for that long. So for me, it was nothing. I think a lot of people say that, you know, what's more painful, labor or actual pushing? And I've seen a lot of people say that pushing was more painful, but for me, it was definitely labor. Those final contractions before pushing her out was the worst pain that I felt that day. Pushing her out was a piece of cake. And lastly, another thing that I was really scared about based on everything I've seen in movies or like researched on YouTube and Google and what other women have said is the postpartum bleeding. People had me thinking that I was just going, you know, people when they talk about postpartum bleeding, you see pictures of women with giant adult diapers on and like the huge mesh panties, and it makes you think that you are literally just pouring blood all day every day. And the thought of that, like I used to have a really, really heavy period, and just thinking about all of the blood that comes out just made me, and thinking that it was going to be worse than that, and it's going to be all day for like a month or longer maybe, that had me like feeling kind of crazy. I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna feel about that. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to handle that. But it wasn't like that. I did wear the Depends, But it was really mainly just because with Depends, the pad is, you know, it's a part of the underwear. So I don't have to worry about my pad moving around or like, you know, not being stable or whatever. And with, you know, with the Depends, I knew I was good. But it wasn't because I was just pouring blood everywhere, you know, the whole time. My postpartum bleeding was very average flow for the first week, and then the second week was just very, very light, and then the third week was just like the discharge, and it wasn't bad at all. It was just like having an average flow period, um without any of the symptoms that come with having a period. So it was fine to me. I guess like heavy bleeding or just any kind of like bleeding that's not like kind of freaks people out when they're not accustomed to that. But for me, you know, it wasn't like having a period. It was better than having a period. So I was good, you know. And speaking of periods, if you haven't watched it yet, please check out my period vlog for February. I had my first postpartum period at 10 weeks postpartum, and I talk about it in there so you guys can see what my experience was with that. But that's all I have for today. I'll definitely be talking more about what's been going on since I gave birth and how I've been handling everything. Please definitely in the comments tell me if you've given birth before. Tell me what your experience was to you. What were the things that were difficult that people made seem like it was going to be easy? What were the things that were easy that people made it seem like they were going to be difficult? Did you have a 3rd degree tear or a 4th degree tear? Some people have 4th degree tears, which is wild. Yeah, just talk to me, and definitely like, share, and subscribe. I never tell people to do that in my videos. I always forget, but yeah, subscribe, like, share, watch it again. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.